Hey guys, what's up? For today's video, we're gonna show you the photosynthesis of plants from light-dependent reaction to Calvin cycle. First, allow me to introduce myself. I am Jungli Asukan and my partner.
I am Samarwin Siborius. We would like to share to you what is really happened about photosynthesis in plants from light-dependent reaction to Calvin cycle.
Okay, let's start. We know that there are two reactions of photosynthesis. First is the light-dependent reaction. In photosynthesis, light is used to make organic compounds like sugars. This is extremely important for virtually all life on Earth because these organic compounds are what we and our food are all made of. So, how does this process work? When light strikes a leaf, this light is absorbed and the light energy is used to drive a series of chemical reactions that ultimately make organic molecules. Overall, carbon dioxide and water are taken by plant and used to make glucose and oxygen gas. Photosynthesis can be divided into two sets of reactions. First, the light-dependent reactions depends on light. The second is the Calvin cycle. The light-dependent reactions depend on light. To understand how this works, let's see a leaf so we can see what's happened. Leaves are made of plant cells, and inside of these cells are special organisms called chloroplasts that they do photosynthesis. Each chloroplast has many discs called thylakoids with pigments like chlorophyll that absorb light. Think of thylakoids as solar panels in a chloroplast that absorb light energy from the sun. Now let's zoom in on the thylakoid and focus on the thylakoid membrane. This is where pigments such as chlorophyll are found, is where light gets absorbed. The pigments are arranged and clusters called photosystem. Let's start with photosystem 2. When photosystem 2 absorb light, electrons and chlorophyll gain energy or get excited from the light. These excited electrons leave chlorophyll and move to something called an electron transport chain. Since chlorophyll lost electrons, those electrons need to be replaced. To replace them, water split and electrons go to chlorophyll. When water is split, electrons, hydrogen ions, and oxygen are produced. You probably know that plants make oxygen when they do photosynthesis. This is where that oxygen comes from. Let's go back to the electron transport chain. The electron transport chain transports electrons. As it does, the energy in the electron is used to pump hydrogen ions across the thylakoid membrane. This creates a high concentration of hydrogen ions inside the thylakoid. The ions would be trapped inside the thylakoid, but a special enzyme called ATP synthase allows them to possibly diffuse from high to low concentration. This flow of hydrogen ions through ATP synthase causes ATP synthase to spin and produce of ATP. Similar to how water flowing through turbine products power at hydroelectric dam. This ATP is a key product of light-dependent reaction. When the two electrons reach the first electron transfer chain, the true electrons go to the photosystem 1. When light excites them once again, they travel down a second shorter electron transport chain, where they are accepted by a molecule NADP+. When it accepts the electrons, it also accepts hydrogen and becomes NADPH. NADPH is an electron carrier, and this is another key product of light-dependent reaction. It carries electrons and hydrogen to the next set of reaction in photosynthesis. The Calvin cycle, both ATP and NADPH, are a critical product of the light-dependent reactions. that are needed to make sugar in the Calvin cycle, which we will examine in our next video.
Hello guys. After the processes of light-dependent reactions, we go to second set what's called Calvin cycle. Calvin cycle is the second set of the photosynthesis and occurs after the light-independent reactions. Sometimes Calvin cycle was called light-independent reactions or the dark reaction because light is not directly needed to make the Calvin cycle happen. Nevertheless, two key products from the light-dependent reactions are needed to make the Calvin cycle work. ADP and NADPH, they are made during the light reactions at the thylakoids. Calvin cycle takes place fluid surrounded thylakoid was called stroma. ATP provides energy and NADPH provides electron and hydrogens. Here's how it works. Phase 1. Carbon fixation. An enzyme called Rubisco takes CO2 from the air and adds it to a 5-carbon compound called RUVP. This is called carbon fixation. This makes 6-carbon compound that immediately splits in half to make molecule of 3-phosphoglycerate. Phase 2. Reduction. In the reduction phase, ATP from the light reactions provide energy to make an intermediate compound. This reactive intermediate can be then reduced or gain electrons and hydrogen. The electrons in hydrogen comes from NADPH and used to reduce the intermediate compound to make glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate or sometimes called triose phosphate. G3P is the K product of the Calvin cycle that can be used sugar. There's a net gain of 1 G3P, 3 carbons in and 3 carbons out. That makes sense, right? Phase 3. The regeneration. Notice that our model had only 1 G3P is removed from the cycle but 5 more remain. Now you have seen how the Calvin cycle is used to make glucose and how like-dependent reactions provide NADPH and ATP that were needed to make the Calvin cycle work. The glucose and other organic compounds made as a result of these processes in photosynthesis are what allow plants and algae to grow and support practically all life, including you. That's all guys. Thank you for watching this video.
I hope you learned something. Have a nice day!
Thank you.
Ay, wala yung tingin ka.
Ay,